Welcome back to another episode.
I'm Armani',
And I'm Taj Muhammad, and this is the Peace of Mind podcast.
and on this show we talk about the keys to living a more happy, a more healthy, and a more meaningful life.
We're huge on inner peace, and with that being said,
this is a piece of our mind.
Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. So welcome back to the listeners and the followers who support us and are interested in what we have to talk about. First and foremost, before we get started, I want to give a huge major shout out to you guys for showing the love, showing the support, and like I said, like before previous episodes, none of this is possible without you guys. So Taj,
That's facts. Your guys support me so much to us. We've recently been getting reached out to by you guys with like DMs and personal messages of words of empowerment, and you guys are really helping us push to gain more knowledge and feed you guys with the wisdom that we have. So again, thank you guys so much. We like to start every episode off with giving gratitude to our supporters. So with that being said, let's get straight into it.
Let's do it. So last week's episode, we talked about the importance of goals and how to determine determining what our goals would be in life and what we would like to aim at. So now it's time to progress towards it. So last episode, Taj said there's two things we need to know. We need to know where we're at and where we want to go. And as long as we're progressively moving in that direction, we're successful. So today we're going to be talking about the power of habits, right? And this one's going to be very powerful because setting a goal is important, right? Having a goal is important, but that alone is not going to take us to the end destination. What's going to take us there is the habits that we cultivate into our minds, right? So we're going to start off with talking about how habits affect our daily lives. So Taj?
Habits are a huge, part of the reason you're getting the results that you get, because the way you think leads to the way you feel, and the way you feel leads to the way you act and your actions, and your actions ultimately lead to your results. You feel me? So everything starts within the mind. If you can figure out how to change the way you think into a manner that's going to lead you toward better habits and a better lifestyle, that's going to help you reach your goals. So that's what I have about habits.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, like most of our lives and most of our day-to-day, lives that we experience, we're run on autopilot. So if you think about yesterday and compare what you did to today, most of the time you woke up doing the same thing. You might have woke up and, checked your phone, or you might have woke up and hit a prayer, or woke up, took a shower. And then after that, you did the same exact thing the previous day before. So most of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis are actually our habits. And in a 2006 study by Duke University, they found out that 40% of the actions that we take are not a result of conscious decision-making, but they're a result of our habits. So understand that the quality of our lives, the quality of our results in our lives are being determined by the habits that we develop. It's almost impossible to rise to the level of our goals without first developing the necessary habits that will take us there. Because like I said, having a goal gives us a direction, but what's going to take us there is the habits, what we do on a day-to-day basis, right? In Atomic Habits by James Clear, he says, it's not the goal that makes us a success, it's the system that we develop that make us a success, or the habits. So what most people do is they set a goal, and the first question that they ask is, what are the things that I need to do in order to get to where I want to go? But instead of asking that question, what we need to ask, I believe what we should ask is, who are we becoming? Because our habits make the person, make who we are. Or our habits, right, determine who we are. And who we become determines the level of results that we get in our lives. So instead of worrying about the what, worry about the who. Like I said, because who you are determines the results in your life. And that's your habits. Your habits make up who you are. So now that we've got that out of the way, we're going to talk about what a habit is and how are they formed. So you want to touch upon that and start it off?
Yeah, so basically, a habit is really going to define the results that you get, like I said earlier. And when it comes to habits, once you have your goals set in place, it's going to be very easy to figure out what habits you need to work on, because your thoughts are going to lead to the actions you need to take. Mm-hmm. So like Armani said, don't worry about the why or the how you're going to, get these habits done and get to these goals, because once you change the way you think and figure out what it is you really want and consistently think about that, you're going to naturally be able to, start taking action towards your habits. And, a habit is formed, in our mind through years and years of programming, of experiences that we've been through as children growing up, things that happen to us. And what happens is we consciously, attach a feeling to what's going on to us in the moment. And whenever you attach a thought with feeling, it gets soaked into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is what affects your day-to-day actions and the things you do. So in order to figure out and change those programs that's holding you back from achieving your goals, you have to, submerge your subconscious mind with thoughts of positivity that give you good feeling, because that's going to change the way you take action. You feel me? But
what you said there about attachment, man, that's very important what you just said, because growing up, we might be put in an environment where we have parents telling us that we're failures, or teachers telling us that we're never going to make it in life. And I think we falsely make the conclusion, and we falsely attach failure to our identity. You know what I mean? So then we start to think habitually that we are failures. So automatically we act as failures. We start doing things that failures do. We don't have the necessary habits that will take us to the goals that we desire.
I got something to add on to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like he said, some of us have people telling us things that we can't do, things that we shouldn't be. Right. And as a young child, if you feel a certain type of way about it, you get angry or upset or sad about it, and that's consistently happening, now you're going to start to believe that. You feel me? If you attach a feeling to what just went on, that's going to go into your subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not focusing on, what's going on in your subconscious mind, that's going to lead to random results. You feel me? If you shoot at nothing, you're going to hit it every time.
Right.
Like Armani said. So, with habits, it really comes down to, how bad do you want it? How much are you willing to change? Because when you have a subconscious paradigm, we'll get into that in a little bit. What a paradigm is, your thinking habits is really going to be a big influence on the action that you take, like I said. And in order to change that, you need to know where you're at, and are you happy with where you're at, and decide on where you want to go from there.
Yeah, right. And so I have a definition for a habit. A habit is nothing but an idea that is fixed in our mind. Understand that the actions that we take are preceded by the thoughts that we think, right? By the ideas that we entertain, by the things that we believe about ourselves. So a habit it's developed through repetition of thought or action. So the more you tell yourself a certain thing, the more you act a certain way, the more easier it becomes to think that thought, right? So understand that when a habit has been well established, our minds have a tendency to attach itself to it and follow the course of that action. So in other words, the more you think a thought, the easier it is to think a thought. So again, like when we were kids, and when our parents are telling us these things like you're a failure, this or that, or our teachers telling us that, right? We accept those thoughts, and as we accept those thoughts, we automatically start to think thoughts that are similar, and we go down these negative habit loops. That's what it's called, habit loops, where we start to think negatively about one thing about ourselves, like, okay, I'm a failure. And then next thing you know it, I'm ugly. Next thing you know it, I'm fat. And you go down these loops, and then it takes you down deeper and deeper, and you start building these roots, and it's hard to uproot them. But so now a lot of us want to change. A lot of us want better results. But a lot of them aren't necessarily, or a lot of people don't necessarily understand how to go about doing it.
That's fast. I have a perfect quote for that, actually.
Let's hear it.
I was reading through one of my books, and I came across a quote that just sat with me the right way instantly as soon as I read it. And what it says is, the vast majority of mankind lives in the world without. The more enlightened men are intensely interested in the world within. Remember, it is the world within, namely your thoughts, feelings, and imagery, that makes your world without. It is therefore the only creative power, and everything which you find in your world of expression has been created by you in your inner world of your mind, consciously or unconsciously. So adding on to that, like he said, we get into these bad habit loops, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, and that affects our results. So I want you to ask yourself right now, how do you talk to yourself? When you're going through a negative obstacle and there's bad things going on in your life. Me personally in the past, I used to get down on myself for that. I'd be like, oh, that was a stupid decision you made. Oh, you should never do that again. Why would you do that? This is how I'm thinking to my own self in my head. And somebody once said, if you have these thoughts in your head, imagine if your friend was next to you and they made a mistake. And the same things you were telling yourself, you're telling your friend. You wouldn't have any friends. You feel me? So why would you talk to yourself that way if you wouldn't talk to your friends that way? And one thing to really help realize that is to be in the present moment and actually consciously think about what's going on in your mind.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's powerful, by the way. But I think right now we're in a good spot to talk about how to go about breaking bad habits and forming new ones. Because I think that's where most people struggle, is making that permanent change in what they do, but they don't understand that they have to permanently change what they think about themselves first. Like you said, our paradigms control our actions, and our actions produces our results. So, this was the hardest part for me. Was breaking bad habits with the S in my life, because to be honest, for me, this was the hardest part, because first step, number one, to break a bad habit is to look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. If you don't like where you are, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to accept where you are, because when you don't accept where you are, then it's almost impossible to change, because you're going to be in denial about it. So number one is realize and look at yourself in the mirror, realize you have bad habits, and accept that you have bad habits, and accept that you want to change. Because that's where true change happens, is when you realize and accept, okay, hey, I don't like where I'm at. I might be 200 pounds overweight. I might be unhealthy. I might be unhappy. My finances might not be right. But right now, I'm going to make a conscious decision to change my habits so that I can change my results. Right? So step number one is just look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. And that was hard for me, bro, because I had so many bad habits that I've developed in my life. And once I looked at myself in the mirror, it was like, I had to look at myself in like a third person view.
I can relate to that.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times when we do look at ourselves in the mirror, we don't see us for who we really are. There's like it's like our ego telling us like all these bad habits are okay to have. Like it's normal to have. It's normal to be overweight.
Justifying where you're at.
Thinking
you're in the comfort zone.
Yes. And that's powerful, because now we can talk about the paradigm. Because the paradigm is what controls every single action that you take. So Taj, what's the paradigm? Break it down for us.
Paradigm, it sounds like a crazy complex word, but to simplify it as much as I can, really all it is a pattern of thoughts and a habit of thoughts that you developed growing up that leads to the actions you've been getting and continue to get in your life. And in order to change the results that you get, you have to change your paradigm, your thinking habits. And once you change your thinking habits, your actions and results are going to change as well. If there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah. So my definition for a paradigm is a multitude of habits or ideas, because a habit is nothing but an idea that's fixed in our minds. Remember that. So a paradigm is a multitude of our habits that are fixed in our subconscious mind that have almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. So if we want to permanently change what we do, we have to permanently change what we believe ourselves to be. Right? So let's say, for example, you have a goal to get into shape. You might be, 200 pounds overweight. So your goal is to get into shape, right? So what you do is you'll change your actions, you start eating healthy, but the thing is, you have not changed your paradigm. You have not changed the beliefs that you have in your subconscious mind. So 2 weeks go by, you might see some progress, but what happens is, again, like I said last episode, the actions that we have in our lives are always determined by the thoughts that dominate our mind. So when you have thoughts of negativity, when you have thoughts of me being overweight, then automatically that paradigm is going to pull you back down, and eventually you'll go back to doing the same exact things that cause the same exact results. So the problem is that people are trying to change their actions without first changing who they are.
Facts.
Right?
And visualizing is very important. Say, for example, you wanted to lose 200 pounds. A big thing that you can do, one thing that I struggle with personally with breaking bad habits in the past was I convinced myself that I was doing all the good work. I was reading all the right books. I had the right mentors, had all the knowledge I needed. But what you don't understand is that success, whatever your definition of it, is only 10% work. 90 to 99% of success is spiritual in the way that you think. So if you want to be able to lose 200 pounds in the gym, make a vision in your head. Meditate on it. Think about the body you want to have. Envision it. Because if you don't have a vision of what you want to look like when you're going to the gym, you're not going to be, have extra motivation to continue on to lose the weight. Because you can be excited as you want to go lift 200 pounds. But once you actually have to be in a moment and lift 200 pounds, you're probably not going to be excited. So you're going to have to find a new excitement to lift the 200 pounds. You feel me? So
yeah. So based on who you want to become, ask yourself what habits you need to develop. So if you are 200 pounds overweight, and this is just an example, I'm not saying you're 200 pounds overweight, but if you are, think about the person that has, or think about the person who's in shape, and think about what kind of habits that they have. And then once you determine what kind of habits they have, like for example, eating healthy and not missing a workout every week, you know what I mean? Understand their habits and develop it, slowly develop it into your life. You know what I mean? So I actually have some steps that people could use in their life. So step number 1 is write the following questions down. Now, letter A, what negative habit do you want to eliminate? And B, what positive habit will you develop in order to replace it? So for example, I'm going to use an example in my life. A couple years ago, not too long ago, I had a bad habit with nicotine. Right, I was a nicotine fiend, Juulin. I forgot the other names of the other things.
He's not lying.
I'm not lying. And I'm saying this because a lot of people might relate. They might want to change the things that they do. They might want to quit smoking, but it's hard for them. Like they feel like they can put it down for 2 days, but 2 days later they pick it right back up, and they feel guilty about themselves. In other words, another failure. So they connect that failure to the identity, and they allow that identity to run their life. And as they let it run their life, more of it goes on and on and on, and it compounds and it gets worse. And then you feel like you're never going to change. Right? So with that being said, one of them was a bad nicotine habit. So what I did is, like Taj said, I meditated and visualized myself as already having the qualities and the habits that I wanted to develop, and I thought about all the benefits that I would come with it. And every time I thought about picking up a Juul or something, or a nicotine pen or whatever, I'd tell myself, and I'd consciously remember, okay, if I didn't even think about picking it up, I'm doing 20 push-ups. So one of the keys is, okay, what bad habit do you want to eliminate? And then once you figure that out, what positive habit do you want to eliminate it with? Do you have any examples in your life that you can explain to the people?
Yes. Me personally, besides football growing up, I never really had a positive habit of just doing something that's gonna help me in the future. I'd always be the type of person I would just work on something for a little bit, and once a couple failures come in, I'll get down on myself, end up quitting, and try something new, and be like, oh no, this is the one where I'm gonna be successful at. And I would do the same thing, quit it, and be like, oh no, this is where I'm gonna be successful at. But I didn't realize at the time that it wasn't what I was doing, it was how I was thinking. You feel me? And one thing that really helped me, stay disciplined to my habits and the qualities I wanted to develop was knowing the difference between discipline and motivation. You feel me? Because we all have times of motivation and inspiration when we want to get in shape or want to eat healthy or do these type of things. But you have to understand that motivation is just a feeling, and feelings come and go. They're like a roller coaster. Emotions are gonna fluctuate.
They're fleeting.
I'm not gonna lie to you and sit here and tell you I'm always happy. I'm always peaceful. We go through problems just like the regular person, but the difference is what we think about them. And staying disciplined is continuing to work on your habit and develop those qualities even when you're not necessarily inspired or motivated to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I did when I was going to the gym. It was my first time consistently being in the gym for a whole entire month straight. And there would be times where I didn't want to go. And I had to force myself to go. And a way that I tried to avoid going to the gym was sleeping in, because I would do it in the morning.
Hitting that snooze.
Hit the snooze button.
Yeah.
You feel me? And when I would do that, I would think to myself, or I'll prepare myself the night before, that no matter what, the first thing I do when I wake up is going to the gym. So I was forcing myself to go for a whole entire month straight. And there would be times I would sleep 10, 11, 12 hours just to avoid going to the gym, but it doesn't matter, because the first thing I do when I stand up is putting my shoes on and going to the gym, and just forcing myself to go built the habits that I needed to get the results that I wanted.
It's interesting to me because successful people and unsuccessful people have similar goals. You know, winners and losers, they have similar goals. But what makes the difference? It's the systems. The winners win because they develop a system in their lives that allow them to progress towards what they're aiming at. Unsuccessful people, they have a goal, but they don't develop the habits that'll take them there. So, again, who you are determines the level of results that you get in your life. So that's why it's so important to realize and recognize you have bad habits, and then writing them down, and then writing what positive habit you want to develop in order to replace it. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is meditate and visualize yourself as already having succeeded in changing your habit, and see yourself enjoying the benefits of your new habit. And there's a reason for doing this. There's a reason why you want to do it in a meditative state, but I think we can talk about that in another episode for, meditation and visualization. But just know that if you want to change and get down into your paradigm, it's through meditation, it's through relaxation. And then number 3 is once you have those 2 down, throughout your day, make sure you're conscious of every thought that you think, everything that you say, and every action that you take. And when you catch yourself thinking or talking in your old ways, make the correction, but don't punish yourself. Be patient with yourself and love yourself through the process, because life is a journey, bro. You know what I mean? And if you're on this journey to bettering yourself, but you might mess up once and you catch yourself beating yourself down for it, just stop, relax. Be patient with yourself, love yourself, and just know that over time, you will get better, because results don't happen overnight. They happen over time. And then number 4, do this for 21 days and watch your life transform, because it takes 21 days to break a habit and replace it with a new one.
90 days to create a lifestyle.
90 days to create a lifestyle. You know what I mean? So, habits form every single result in our life, from happiness, from health, from wealth, from everything, right? If you look at successful people in any aspect of life, they have the habits, right, that got them there. A happy person, right, got to being happy because he got into the habit of thinking about himself in positive terms. A healthy person who's fit in shape with a six-pack became that way and got that result because he developed the habits that took him there. And like I said, results don't happen overnight. They happen over time. So my suggestion to you is to start very small. You don't necessarily have to start big, because a lot of the times when, we want to change, we want to go all out, all in or all out. And the problem with that is that, we'll go all in and then we'll end up losing energy or losing focus and losing motivation because we don't see results right away. If you want to be a better reader, start reading 1 page a day. You don't have to read a whole chapter, especially if you haven't read for years. If you want to be a writer, write 1 sentence a day. And then eventually you'll notice that you'll start writing more sentences. And what happens is, what you got to do first is develop the habit or establish it before you begin to grow on top of it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we catch ourselves wanting to change, so we do ridiculous things. Let's say a person who's out of weight. What they do is they have a goal to get in shape. So they might go crazy and start running like 4 miles right away.
Wear themselves out.
And they might go on a juice diet, deprive themselves from life. You don't got to do that. Just start very small. That's my suggestion to you, is start small. And if you do like that habit, grow on top of it. But don't force yourself to do these things if you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? But so I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
I do actually, so obviously, last episode we talked about goals, and habits are gonna help you get to your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize, in order to do more, you have to know more. But you have to know more from the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Your environment is so important. I'll probably touch up on the environment damn near every episode we have, because that's how much it means to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mentors told me, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And that hits me a different way. So you want to study, like I said last episode, study the people that have the results that you want, because you figured out what your goal is now. And study the habits that they have, because you got to realize that change does not come through mere positive thinking. You have to explore, discover, and change your deepest, most basic attitudes towards life. And that's what's going to help you build those habits. You feel me? Without you changing, things are never going to change for you. Like, if you want things to get better, you have to get better. You can't rely on outside circumstances for things to get better for you. You feel me? A lot of people don't realize the difference between a lack and an abundance mindset. A lot of people will be so focused on their problems that it's going to attract more problems into their life. Like you said, if you're complaining about, oh, I'm barely having enough money to pay for these bills, or I don't want more bills to come in, what's going to keep coming into your life in the mail? More bills. You feel me? So changing your mindset from a lack to an abundance mindset is really going to help you develop the habits that you need in order to grow and create that lifestyle that you always dreamed of. But that's what I had to add on to that.
I like that. And just to touch upon the environment, it's almost impossible to keep and establish a good habit in your life when you're around negative people. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, evil company corrupts good habits. So I don't care what you desire. I don't care what your goal is. If you're not around the right people, if you don't surround yourself around like-minded people, I almost guarantee it that you won't develop the habits that you need to get to where you want to go. So find people who are like-minded. Find people and bring people and attract people into your life that support you, right? That motivate you, that inspire you. Because those are the type of people that we need in our lives. Not someone who, if you're starting up a business, oh, you can't do that. A lot of the times when they do that, is what they're doing is they're impressing their beliefs about themselves onto you. You know what I mean? So again, just surround yourself around people who have a vision for their lives, who have good habits. If you want to work out more or get in better shape, hang out with somebody who works out. If you want to read more, right? If you want to learn more, surround yourself around people who read and learn more every day. If you want to, develop your relationship with God, go hang out with people or surround yourself around people who are godly people. And that goes with anything. If you want to be happy, surround yourself around happy people. So, man, we can literally have a whole episode on environment. Every episode we're talking about environment. And I think it's very important to know that, because a lot of people, they desire more out of life. They want more, but they're not changing their environment. Now, you can't change who's around you, but you can change who's around you. Don't let that fly over your head. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. I want you to think about that. Right? You can't change someone's attitude, but you can change who you surround yourself with. In other words, that's what that means. So make that conscious choice, make that decision to put yourself around people who have the result that you want. So let's talk about good habits that we formed into our lives that have helped us live a more happy, healthy, and meaningful life.
Good habits to form. Number one for me personally is just discipline in general. Because once you build up discipline in your mind, you have the discipline to stick to anything that you put your mind through. Feel me? I'm not going to come out here and say, I have the best habits, which I don't. I'm constantly figuring out how to learn and how to grow every single day, which is what we should all do, because if we're not growing, what are we doing?
We're dying.
Exactly. Like anything in nature, it reaches that peak, and if it stops growing, it starts dying, just like a tree. So in order to form good habits, for me personally, number one, I wanted to build discipline. And for you to build discipline, it's very simple things that you can do in your day-to-day life, whether it's it starts with the small things, like making your bed each morning, brushing your teeth every single day. Because you have to realize, if you think that you're too big to do the little things, you're gonna be too little to do the big things in life. And you have to realize that, and don't let that fly over your head. Like Armani said, you got to realize that everything that you do. Let me say this: how you do one thing is how you do everything. From your attitude towards reading the book should be the same attitude you have, to reaching your goals. You feel me? Because the attitude you put out into the universe, the attitude you put out into God, is what you're gonna attract back to yourself. You feel me? So that's one thing that you can do to form a good habit. Like me personally, one thing I want to work on, I studied myself last episode, and I said, you feel me, like 50 times. So I promised myself that this episode I'm gonna rewatch it and count how many times I said that. And every time I say you feel me, excluding the last 2 times I just said,
that's 40.
For example, it's 10 push-ups. You feel me? So okay, I just said it right there.
That's 40. That's 40.
But yeah, that's what I got for that.
Yeah, man. Like you were saying, every time you make that conscious choice of the good habit, you're casting a vote to the person you want to become. And every time you choose in a conscious choice to make that decision to better your life, you're depositing those discipline coins into your bank. And the more you do that, the bigger the bank becomes. And the bigger the bank becomes, the better habits you form. The better habits you form, the better results that you get. So again, it starts with the small things. Like, for example, when I wake up in the morning, first thing that I do is I pray. I don't check my phone. I used to do that a lot, and I noticed that when you open up social media, a lot of the times what's on there is negative. So I made it a habit to wake up and, make my relationship and connect closer with God. And right after that, I'll get into affirmations. Just to feed my mind with positive thinking. I made it a habit to think about myself in positive terms. So making sure that, when you wake up, you set a positive routine, because again, everybody is being run through systems.
That's fact.
So, for example, my old system was this. I used to wake up in the morning late. Never a morning person. Check my phone. Not just check it, be on it and scroll for 2 hours. By the time work rolled around, take a shower, eat, yell at my mom, argue with my brothers, go to work, miserable, speeding because I'm late. You know what I mean? And now the habits that I have is I wake up early. I pray, meditate, affirmations. I'm setting the standard, the foundation for my day. Right? I'm making sure that I'm feeding my mind with positive thoughts. I'm making sure that I'm connecting with God, with the source. I'm making sure that I'm patient with myself and that I love myself before I go out into the world. Because if you're not patient with yourself, and if you don't love yourself, then you'll never be able to be patient and love other people. Because it starts with you. If you want to spread love, you have to learn how to give love to yourself first. If you want to spread patience, you got to be patient with yourself first. And that starts with the morning, or that starts off with the beginning of your day, is spending time with yourself. So another habits that I made is spending at least an hour before everybody wakes up by myself, because that sets the intention for the day. And I noticed that a lot of the times when I wake up and everybody else is already awake, there's so many different type of energies that I'm allowing into my mind. So I tend to get antsy, anxious, frustrated, mad, and I don't like being that way. So I made it a habit to make sure that I take care of myself first before I take care of other people. And that's not being selfish. Being selfish is when you know you're mad, but you take that anger out on the people you love the most. That's being selfish. You got to learn how to take that anger, push it aside, and replace it with love, positivity, so that even though your family's negative, you give off positive energy. And you let them know, hey, look, I know you're in a bad mood, but here's some love, because I love you. You know what I mean? So, that's what I have to say. Another good habit is working out. Because there's a saying, if you look good, feel good, you do good.
Facts.
And it's true, like, when you work out, you feel really good about yourself. And the image that you have in your mind, is of a healthy person. And like I said, how you see yourself determines the way you act, and how you act determines your results. So, what other habit do I have that I could give you guys?
I mean, I could go
Reading
into
as well, but
something.
yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
You know, like you said, morning routine is so important. Um, so that's a good habit that you can form in order to live a more meaningful life, because what you do in the first hour of your day is going to determine how the rest of your day goes. You know, if you wake up checking your phone, you know, if that's one of the habits you have, there's nothing wrong with that. But say you see some bad news on there, that's going to affect the rest of your day, because you literally just started your day out mad. So it's most likely going to finish out like that, the same way. So making sure, you know, at least me personally, what I do in my morning routine, first thing when I wake up, I I stretch and get my body feeling right, and then I go straight to my journal. I do this exercise called GAAG. It's 5 things I'm grateful for, 5 affirmations, 5 affirmations, and five goals.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what that is, you know, when you're forcing yourself to think about what you're grateful for, you can't be in a negative mindset and still be grateful for something. So when I'm forcing myself to be grateful, I'm preparing myself to receive, because being grateful starts the process of receiving.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Then after I write down what I'm grateful for, it could be just anything. The first thing that comes to my mind, I write down 5 affirmations. For example, I'm so happy and grateful now that Armani and I have the #1 podcast. That's one for example. And then what affirmations are, it's basically an affirmation in the form of a question. So now I'm asking myself, why or how do me and Armani have the #1 podcast? And how have I developed such good habits? Because what you ask is what you're going to receive. Asking it shall be given. So if I'm asking myself why I'm so happy all the time consistently, I'm asking for it. So most likely I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
And then I write down 5 goals. That's how I start my day, to prepare myself for all the outside circumstances and energy that's going to come my way. But that's all I have to add for that.
The quality of our lives is also determined by the questions that we ask ourselves. So I think honestly, like the first question that I asked that started this whole entire development journey was, who do I want to become, or who am I? You know, because when you know who you are, it's a game changer, because then you know where you want to go. When you have a vision for your life, then all the actions that you take are predetermined. You start to live on based on principles. And when you live on principles, right, and a circumstance comes your way, you already know and you already pre-decided on what you're going to act on that, on how you're going to act on it. You know what I mean? So again, habits, they form habits, they control every area of our lives. And until you understand that, you will continue to drift through life, not knowing what your purpose is, not knowing you want to go, always wondering why you're angry, always wondering why you're anxious, always wondering why you're not getting the results that you want. So with that being said, we like to end off our episodes with quick advice. So I'll let Taj go ahead and start that first.
So my quick advice for habits in general is making sure that you have a goal set in mind before you figure out what habits you need to work on. Because once you figure out what your goal is, you're going to be able to discover the habits that you need to, attain in order to get the results that you want. So my quick advice is to, if you don't have a goal already, write down your reasons. Like I said in the last episode, reasons why you want to get up in the morning, reasons why for some reason you feel motivated to go to the gym every once in a while. Just write down all your reasons and circle the ones that make you feel the best inside, and then study the habits of what it takes to get to where you want to go. It's pretty much the same advice I have for the last episode, but I'm big on this. Study. Mm-hmm. Studying is super important, because you don't want to leave your dreams and goals up to hope when you can just go out and get it yourself.
Yeah, an unexamined life is not worth living. You know what I mean? So my quick advice is just to make it a habit to prioritize yourself. Because like I said, man, if you don't learn how to love yourself, and if you can't learn how to be patient with yourself, then you'll reflect that onto other people. You'll reflect that onto your loved ones. And that's what creates a lot of tension between people that we love the most. And we don't want that. We want meaningful relationships. We want to be able to love and cherish each and every single moment. But it all starts with you. So prioritize yourself and love yourself and be patient with yourself. So with that being said, make sure y'all stay tuned for our next giveaway. It's gonna be
big giveaway. You guys are gonna be probably more shocked than us. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy. But before we close this out, again, we just wanted to give gratitude for you guys, especially everybody that made it this far into the video. We're very, very thankful for you guys, and make sure you guys get this to 250 views. That's our goal for this video, is 250 views.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, to show your support. And it'll go a long way and inspire us to, keep gaining knowledge and wisdom and give you guys more heat like we just gave you this episode.
Heat.
So,
that's it for me, man. I love y'all. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys stay tuned. We got big things coming. So let's get it.
Let's get it.